Ideas canola is looking overpriced at current levels. Canola down $5 to over $15. January down $15.60 at $963.10 per ton. Declines in Chicago soy oil contributed to the softer tone, with Malaysian palm oil and European rapeseed futures also down overnight. But tight supplies and the need to ration demand did remain supportive, although those concerns are well priced into the market for the time being. The Canadian dollar is holding relatively steady in early trade. In the U.S., soybeans are lower, while corn and wheat are holding closer to unchanged. Soybeans down 10 cents in the January contract at $12.12 per bushel. Positioning ahead of the weekend was a feature. Forecasts calling for relatively favorable harvest weather contributed to the declines, with anecdotal yield reports generally beating expectations. The USDA releases updated supply-demand estimates next week Tuesday, and expectations are for upward revisions to both production and ending stocks. Meanwhile, farmers in South America are reportedly making good progress seeding their next soybean crop. Corn, it is steady to lower, with the December contract down 3 cents at $5.55 per bushel. Positioning ahead of the weekend and next Tuesday's USDA report was also a feature there. Traders do expect U.S. corn yields and stocks to be revised higher from earlier expectations. Wheat, meanwhile, is mixed, consolidating after yesterday's losses. Minneapolis up a penny in the December contract at $10.18 per bushel. Kansas City, though, down 1 cent in the December contract at $7.84 per bushel. Chicago wheat down 2 cents in December at $7.72 per bushel. U.S. wheat stocks are expected to be revised higher in next week's report, while world supplies are forecast to tighten. Tight supplies of higher quality wheat worldwide accounted for some of that relative strength in the Minneapolis futures. That's a look at the ICE futures and U.S. markets for Friday, November 5th. In Winnipeg, for Markets Farm, I'm Phil Franz Warkentin.
This year's Value Bonanza sale event at Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John gives you more ways to save. Save big with 0% financing and cashback offers on select New Holland tractors, hay and forage products, and materials and handling equipment. These offers end December 31st, so make the trip to Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John today. You get more choices and more savings when you buy during Value Bonanza.
For commercial use only, customer participation subject to credit qualification and CNH Industrial Capital Canada Limited approval. Standard terms, conditions, and other restrictions apply. Down payment may be required.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Welcome to the program. Today we're going to sit down with Trevor Bolin a little later on to talk about the real estate market here in Fort St. John and to find out how his bus riding mission is going, or whether it's started yet or not. Anyway, that coming up in about 15 or so minutes time. But first, the Indian Residential School Survivors Society received a donation recently that will help the organization, which has been busier than ever since the widely reported revelation of unmarked graves at residential school sites across Canada earlier this year. To talk about that and the impact it's going to have on the society and the survivors accessing their services, we're joined now by the Northern Coordinator for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls with the Society, Connie Greyeyes. Good morning, Connie. Welcome to Moose Talks.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for making some time with us. I know you guys have been very busy lately. I was hoping we could kind of start with that. Obviously, kind of the first big news story on this was the revelation of unmarked graves at Kamloops Residential School. It got widely reported. As part of those news reports, people started saying, well, here's something you can do, because we all want to do something. We felt like we had to do something. You can support an organization like the Indian Residential School Survivors Society. How's it been going since then? You guys have been busier than ever, haven't you?
Yeah, with the discovery of the children in Kamloops, it really catapulted our organization into the spotlight. We were relatively, I wouldn't say unknown, but it was in the background. It's been there for a long time, and that really pushed us to the forefront, which also really stretched the limitations of how many people we actually had working, and it was quite crazy at the time, to have to try and all band together and really support survivors and their children through that trauma.
And I suppose, I mean, even for the workers themselves, kind of dealing with their own grief and sort of trauma that related to it, right? It must have been a struggle.
Yeah, many of us are children survivors, as well as some are survivors. And we are lucky enough to work for an organization that recognizes that we need to also practice self-care, and was very adamant on us making sure that we take care of self. And if we're not doing that, then we're not going to be of any service to survivors and their children. If we're not making sure that we're taking care of ourselves mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So we're very lucky to work for such an organization as we do.
And I also want to make sure we say this. I mean, you say, you're almost virtually unknown to people in general, settlers, but that includes survivors who didn't really recognize that you had services that could help survivors and their children, kind of deal with their trauma.
That's true. It took that discovery to really catapult us into the spotlight. The news reports and all kind of tagged us, our phone number and our organization. And I tell you, the amount of calls and reach outs that we received was astronomical. And had that discovery not happened, we probably would still be, we're in the background, but it really pushed that our organization is there to offer supports to survivors and their children, not only survivors of residential schools, but day schools and the 60s Scoop. So, our services are now becoming known out into the public more so than ever. And it's really awesome to know that now we are out there and our services are being accessed by many. And by awesome, I don't mean awesome that this happened. I mean awesome that we are able to be put out there, that we are supporting so many survivors and their children.
Connie, for people who maybe don't know what you guys do at the IRSS, can you tell us briefly kind of what sort of services you offer for survivors and children of survivors?
Sure. We have all kinds of supports available. We have elders that are available to speak to anybody. We have counselors that are available 24/7. We offer all kinds of workshops on healing and, traditional art. We do gatherings. We go out and we support communities that are having an event of any sort. I think the biggest thing that we do offer, though, is that counseling and that guidance that everybody needs once in a while, especially when you have lived through something as traumatic as residential schools, 60s Scoop, or day schools. And of course, all of our services are free to survivors and their children. We have spent countless hours working with communities to find what they need. It's not like, here's what we think that you need. It's we actually go out and we access and talk to communities to say, what would you like to see in your community? And then we make it happen. That's how we typically work. And we do have a website, irsss.ca, where anybody can access that and request a service. And I have to say that my coworkers are quite amazing, that we all band together and do what needs to be done. We recently had a gathering, a healing retreat for families of missing and murdered women in Maple Ridge. That was attended by several women across BC, and those are just a small dip into what we actually do at the IRSSS.
Wow. You guys got a major donation recently that is going to help you guys out a lot. Why don't you tell us a bit about that and who's responsible?
Yeah, I was really quite surprised, and I've always heard nothing but good things about Brian Serraris and his family. And I received a message from Connie Chilcote, and she said, we have this donation that we would like to make to the IRSSS. I want you to know that we recognize your good work in the community, and we would like to make this donation of $10,000
Wow.
to the IRSSS, and just know that we consider you a community champion for the work that you've done in and around this region. I have to say that when I read that, I was shocked first, and then I was like, wow, it's really nice to be recognized, and it's really nice that that a company like Serraris would donate $10,000 to our organization. When I went to receive the donation, I told them, here's the things that we do, and we offer it all free of charge. And this donation is going to help many, many family members access services and help them on the healing path. So it was really, really a surprise, and a really lovely surprise.
Mm-hmm. Is you may not know this yet, but is the donation going to be like, are you going to be able to maybe hire another person, or is it an expansion of a specific service you're looking at, or?
I believe, I don't know what exactly happens. It will definitely go to offering services
Sure.
for family members and their children. We work hand in hand with the FNHA, and that's the First Nations Health Authority, and we are definitely on the path of expanding the organization, which is completely necessary. When the 215 first came out, we were fielding calls from across the world, people that had read it, and it triggered something in them, and they reached out and called, and for quite some time we were in crisis mode and answering calls, fielding calls. Like you said in the beginning, I'm the Northern Coordinator for MMIWG for the IRSSS, but that doesn't mean that when I'm needed to step in for those kinds of calls, that I'm there. That's how our organization is. We all pull together, and we did what was necessary and needed for family members at the time, and I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to speak to so many survivors. They really teach you a lot when you speak with them, if you listen.
Mm-hmm. Connie, I want to switch gears a little bit for a moment here, because of course we had the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September 30th. I wanted to kind of hear what your reaction to everything locally was. I mean, you were part of the planning process for it, or the planning process. How did you feel about the people who did participate, and how did you feel about the number of people who did decide to participate in sort of the events that were going on in Centennial Park that day?
I think that that the event, the walk, was well attended. There was so many people down there, and to be given the opportunity to listen to survivors of day schools and residential schools and their stories is so hugely important. I did receive messages from people that had attended that heard some of the stories from the survivors that spoke, and it really hit them, because I think that when you look at any Indigenous person, that we are all either survivors or descendants of survivors of residential schools, day schools in the 60s scoop. And to be given that reminder and that opportunity to listen, and to actually know that, in this region, this did happen. And maybe it opened up that little bit of empathy for others. You know, when I seen the crowd that was a mixture of all, you know, non-Indigenous and Indigenous people all standing together and listening. And, you know, I really appreciated how many people stayed because the wind was insane. And, but, you know, they stayed and they stuck it out and they listened to those survivors. They watched those dancers, which was important to show that, you know, while they tried to take all of that away from us, we still have it. You know, those youth that were out there proudly dancing in their jingle dresses and their grass dance outfit is a testament that, you know what, we are resilient and we are still here and we have value. And the amount of people that came out to support that was so heartwarming. I left that event and I joked that I felt like I had come out of a sweat lodge. I was just so renewed. I don't know how to even explain it, but it just felt really good. And I was so proud of the city of Fort St. John and for all of their contribution. You know, it's come a long way, and I'm looking forward to working with them in the future for other events involving Indigenous issues. And you know, I was really super proud of the way that the event went and of the attendance of it.
All right, Connie, one last question for you. People, again, always want to do something. They want to feel like they're helping in some way. How can people help the society? Is it just by making a cash donation, or are there other things we can do to sort of help? Because we know about the good work you guys are doing for survivors and children of survivors.
Mm-hmm. You know, obviously donations are always welcome. You know, the more that that we're able to support community members, family members, survivors, and their descendants, the better. We do accept donations at the irSSS.ca. But there's also other ways. You know, when we're hosting an event, come out and attend. You know, I do have a lot of friends that offer other services, and they call, you know, like previously I've had friends that have come in and offered their time to do self-defense, and come and help set up tables or anything, you know. When we put a call out, if you really want to help and you're unable to make a monetary donation, donate your time. You know, that's just as valuable. We do so much good work for survivors that that the more hands on deck, the better. It makes the load a little lighter to carry. So, you know, I do have a Facebook page, Northern irSSS, and you know, if you so wish to join it, I welcome that. And we always put what we're up to on there, and I also do on my personal page, so that people in the public know what's going on. So if you ever see that and you think, geez, you know, maybe I should go and help, just do it. Message me.
Wonderful. Well, Connie, we really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us today about this. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity, and I want to give my big thanks to Solaris for their wonderful donation to our organization.
Of course. Well, thank you very much again, Connie. That's Connie Greyeyes with the Indian Residential School Survivors Society. We'll be right back to talk to Trevor Bolin right after this on Moose Talks. One of the most important parts of any vehicle is the windshield. Think about all the things it protects you from. At Alpine Glass Windows and Doors, they know your windshield is a critical safety feature of your vehicle, so they make sure to treat all windshield repairs and replacements with extreme attention to detail. You might not think that crack in your windshield is a big deal until it is. Alpine Glass Windows and Doors in Fort St. John, ICBC Glass Express certified. Visit alpinewindows.ca.
Now that you've got time to focus on money-saving ideas, let's draw your attention to the lights on the top of your tower. Did you just change them not too long ago? Petron Communications can help you out so that you can keep your eyes on the ground and not have to look up again. Changing your incandescent tower lights to energy-efficient LED housing will save you money on power, and you'll never have to change those lights again. In times like these, it's wise to find ways to cut expenses, and this is a bright idea that lasts. Petron Communications, ready to do the work today so your future will be lit tomorrow.
Hiking, walking, backpacking, or just generally being outdoors. If you're the exploring type, you need footwear that can keep up. Backcountry has just what you need. Stop into Backcountry today and check out their selection of Loa socks designed specifically for exploring the great outdoors. Loa socks are well established in Europe and are known for their excellent fit and exceptional comfort. Every sock features a range of technologies and details, from padding and cushioning to functional design. We all know that good socks need good boots. Backcountry has those too. Check out their lineup of Gore-Tex boots that will go perfectly with your Loa socks. If you spend a lot of time outdoors, investing in a good pair of reliable Gore-Tex boots will be worth it. Nobody wants wet feet or to come back from a long hike with a load of blisters. Gore-Tex gets that, so they've designed breathable, waterproof footwear you'll love. Get your Loa socks and Gore-Tex boots from Backcountry, where we help you enjoy the great outdoors. Visit Backcountry Fort St. John on Facebook or backcountryfsj.com.
Cooking with local ingredients? Crowd-pleasing dishes? Appetizers and refreshing drink ideas? The Entertainer blog on energeticcity.ca is presented by Grill Pros and Outdoor Living and is full of awesome articles for those who love to entertain. Whether you're hosting family, friends, or planning a romantic dinner for two, you'll find delicious seasonal recipes, great ideas for decorating, and everything else you need to be the perfect host. The Entertainer blog presented by Grill Pros and Outdoor Living, only on energeticcity.ca.
Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Dub Craig. Now we're going to talk to Trevor Bolin, the councillor, and more importantly today, the Remax Action Realty Realtor, all about the housing prices in Fort St. John. Things seems to be looking up right now, so we're going to get his take on it, and it's always an interesting take. So joining us now from his office at Remax, Trevor Bolin. Trevor, how's it going today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you very much. I feel like it's been a while since you actually were on the show. When for a while you were on, it seemed like every couple of weeks. So thanks for joining us.
It has been a bit. I appreciate you having me back.
Okay. You're very welcome, of course. So let's talk about the real estate market. I know you posted in a local group about how things keep going up and have been basically since, kind of the middle of the pandemic there. So I just wanted your first thoughts on how the real estate market's looking and how it kind of went this year for people.
You know what, and Dub, I think you brought it up at a perfect time, because one of the biggest topics ever, and I don't think it's just Fort St. John, I think it's any market, is what's going on in real estate. And Fort St. John has been known nationally in the past as being typically one of the hottest markets when it came to real estate. And then 2015 ended and 2016 came, and we were certainly on a downhill slide from that point in time. But it certainly can be looked at both ways. When a market corrects itself or readjusts, it's hard for those that are in it that rely on those market increases and those numbers. But it also allows opportunity in the market. And I think, when we look back at the fact that our market's now showing, increases of upwards of 5% on average price, and, 50% plus more sales this year than there was in previous years, it shows you that there's a lot of people that are able to take advantage of the current market situation and be able to achieve the dream of homeownership.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, because if I remember right, last year was a down year, of course, but it wasn't as sort of bad as we kind of all thought it might have been. Do you see it kind of rebounding in sort of the same way it kind of, I don't know what the opposite of rebound is, but kind of went ooh last year? Do you see that sort of being the same way, or is it going to be more of a slow build, as you kind of mentioned?
I think, I think it'll be a good build. I think it'll be a little bit slower than what we're used to in the industry. Yeah. Last year should have actually probably been a recovery year. But then, come March, Offices were closed. A lot of people were not working and on some of the different programs that were available. So, I mean, that took us March through into July. So, you know, it was a little bit of a down year last year. I was going to say yesterday, but it offered stability in the market. So there wasn't enough of an increase to give that, you know, that kind of a market wide approach. But this year with the increases, I think we're going to continue building. You know, we're sitting at about 5% increase right now in average prices, which, you know, when you look at that, the average price of homes in Fort St. John, as of the end of October, you know, was back up to that just shy of $400,000, so that $394,000. So, you know, we ended the same period last year at about $373,000. So that increase, you know, I think we'll probably see an end of the year increase overall between, you know, 6.5, 7.2%, somewhere in there, which is our biggest increase since 2015. And I kid you not, I think even if it was 1 to 2%, I think that gives people enough of a reason to be excited and want to be involved in the market. But I think the big story is the dollar volume that was sold this year. You know, we were this year to the end of October at about $85 million worth of real estate that was sold. This year we're popping in somewhere around that $138 million. So, you know, what we're finding right now is you know, not enough inventory. And I think that it's been a long time since we've been in that boat. I can remember back in 2016, you know, doing the counts that were going forward, you know, we had 800 available properties on the market in this region. And we hadn't had that since probably 1997 or 1998, if my memory serves me correct. So, you know, to see us get back into a balanced market, you know, we don't want things to go crazy again. We don't need 14% increases. We don't need, you know, the amount of construction that was happening. We need to look forward to a stable, solid, safe market in this region.
Okay. What do you think next year is going to look like? Do you think it, you know, you kind of mentioned already, it might be kind of the continued build we're seeing. Do you think it's going to be hotter? Do you think it might cool off a bit? What are you kind of expecting in the spring, summer?
Spring and summer, I expect we're going to be into a bit of a hotter market. I think there was a lot of first-time home buyers that spent this year saving. We didn't see, you know, increases in rental rates, which we typically see, as that was frozen for a long period of time during COVID and then capped at 1.5% annually. So it gave people security to kind of stay where they are in their rentals. You know, and I don't think that's going to change, but I think what's going to change is the fact that, you know, that vacancy rate that we've been used to being around, you know, 8 to 10% over the past few years has quickly dropped. So when, you know, we start to see a 2 to 3% vacancy rate, I think you're going to find a lot of first-time buyers early in the spring, kind of late part of the winter, early spring, going, you know what, now's the time to do it. Rates are still low. You know, prices are increasing a little bit, but not exponentially. So, you know, it really makes a good time for first-time buyers to enter that market. So I suspect next year will be somewhere probably back around that 6.5 to 7.5% of a market increase, which, you know, will put us back to some of the losses that we've sustained over the last 6 years, and put us back on par, you know, kind of that 2013, 2014 price point.
Okay. Now, I did want to switch gears with kind of my last question here, because, of course, there was this story about in Dawson Creek. I don't remember who, but someone challenged some of the councillors and the mayor to take the bus to work because they say the bus service in Dawson Creek's lacking. That sort of made it here, and it ended up that I believe you challenged or were challenged along with Councillor Zabinski to kind of do the same thing. So you both said, yeah, I mean, we'll try taking the bus and kind of see how it is. I wanted to know why you decided to do that. What was kind of the onus behind that?
You know what, Dub? It was, I mean, the challenge went out in Dawson, and I gave the guy kudos on one of our community sites, because, you know, a lot of times people will say council's not listening or they're not doing their jobs or whatnot. And you know, this guy actually offered a solution, and he said, do you want to understand what we have to deal with? Get on the bus and take the bus for a day, a week, a month, whatever that is. And, you know, we were talking about it at council, and it was brought up, and it's like, you know, when's the last time you were on the bus? And I commented it was probably about 1994, maybe 93. Mm-hmm. You know, and Tony had taken it, you know, a few years ago, and, you know, so we got talking, and the guy's right. The only way we can figure out if there's problems or maybe there isn't, but maybe there's other ways or little changes that can be made that make it an easier process. So, Tony jumped on the bus literally that day after council. I certainly was not as quick as he was. But it's been interesting because, we've had people approaching us while we've either been on the bus or at bus stops. We've been getting emails, we've been getting Facebook messages, just of their suggestions of what can happen. So at the end of the day, this wasn't a council initiative. It was something that, we wanted to get a better understanding of it. And already, I can tell you, we've probably each got a note or a page of notes of different comments and different experiences that I think when we look at it, Fort St. John's gone through 2 very large boundary expansions in the last few years as well. And we need to see if these boundary expansions, new schools, do they encompass this? New parks being, rebuilt or added, do they encompass this? So I think the larger picture is going to be council looking at this, but I think when that time comes, we've got the information and we've got the access to the information we've been given by, very frequent bus users and a lot of community citizens that have said, here's what you need to look at doing. And we'll be able to take an overall larger picture of what needs to be done.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there for now, Mr. Bolin. But hey, thank you very much for taking some time to chat with us today.
Thanks for having me back on the show.
You're very welcome. That's Trevor Bolin here on Moose Talks. We'll be right back to wrap things up right after this.
Face off the ice with Tim Hortons NHL trading cards. Grab a pack for only $1 with the purchase of any beverage or $1.99 on their own. Available at participating Tim's restaurants in Canada starting October 27th while supplies last. Terms apply. Visit the Tim Hortons app for more details.
Parks, culture, news, business, community. The City of Fort St. John strives to keep you informed about everything going on in the energetic city all year round. Whether it's upcoming community events, construction reminders, project planning, yard waste and recycling, or important info for property owners, the City of Fort St. John will make sure residents are always in the know. To stay up to date, visit fortstjohn.ca. The City of Fort St. John, where nature lives, families flourish, and businesses prosper.
Hey, little sis, what's new?
Just started a new job. I love it.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
I am now a BC correctional officer.
But you're tiny.
Dude, it's nothing like TV. The job is about communication, conflict resolution, and empathy, all of which I have, and I'm awesome at. Also, it's a stable government job with competitive salary and a fantastic pension plan and benefits package.
Well, that sounds awesome. Congratulations.
BC Corrections is actively hiring now. Be a role model. Be a peace officer. Join BC Corrections and create change in your community. Search us online and apply today.
The #1 website in Northeast BC is energeticcity.ca. Our digital advertising experts drive over 15,000 people a day to energeticcity.ca, and we love to help your business. Let us show you how to grow your business and manage your digital advertising with programmatic display ads, social media management, search advertising, or getting your business noticed on energeticcity.ca with display advertising, branded content, or other customized options.
Anyone engaged in military service must be prepared to endure hardship, suffering, even death in times of war. Throughout our history, Canada's veterans have willingly made these sacrifices to preserve our freedom and protect our people. On November 11th, Remembrance Day, we salute veterans across Canada and right here at home. Hamray's Funeral Chapel and Cremation Centre is honored to be of service to the families of Fort St. John, Fort Nelson, and surrounding areas for over 3 decades.
There's always something going on in the energetic city, and the staff from the City of Fort St. John Recreation Department have planned a variety of exciting programs and events. Here's what's coming up.
The annual Pumpkin Plunge returns November 6th. Bring your pumpkins to Home Hardware and see them get tossed from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Bring your mug and spoon to sample local soups from 11 to 1 for $2.
For more information on this event, view the Recreation and Leisure Guide at fortstjohn.ca or follow the City of Fort St. John Recreation on Facebook.
If you're looking for hassle-free internet services, call the Peace Region Internet Society today. With coverage throughout most of the Peace, PRIS can get you connected quickly without the hassle of contracts or bundles. Visit PRIS.ca or call 1-800-768-3311 for more information.
There is some amazing local food grown and made right here in the North Peace. Join us and the Fort St. John Co-op every Wednesday as we highlight those great, energetic eats. We'll showcase the local people and companies that make great local food right here in our community. Watch for the live video on our Facebook page or listen to Moose FM every Wednesday. Energetic Eats is brought to you by the Fort St. John Co-op. You're at home here. And Moose FM. Our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
Our thanks to our guests Connie, Greyeyes, and Trevor Bolin for joining us today. If you missed this episode and you want to hear it again, you can check out the podcast version. That'll be at energeticcity.ca/podcast very shortly. You can also find past episodes of Moose Talks there, as well as episodes of our new podcast, Voices of the Peace with Ted Sloan, where he talks to local people doing great things in our community, and also Before the Peace, where we talk about Indigenous stories that are shared and about their culture and as well. There's a couple episodes of each of those, so you can check that all out now at energeticcity.ca/podcasts. That does it for this episode of Moose Talks. Trey Lopashinsky is the producer. I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace.